Okay, so Simon asks, what is debriefing and how does it help?
What an excellent question, Simon. I can point directly to a blog post that we both collaborated on about debriefing in this case. So, debriefing. So for those of you who are new to the idea, so as I've said, exploratory testing is looking at a product, a service, a design, something, to find out information about it with the express purpose of sharing that information to make design decisions. So really what we need to do once we've done our testing and we've found information is we want to share that information. The best way to do that, and the normal way that we do that in exploratory testing, is via a debrief. What a debrief is, it's a short conversation held between the tester and usually the developer to share information about what was tested. So what have we looked at? What have we found? So what have we seen? And when we do that, we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and any questions that we have. So we're saying, I've looked at these types of things within my charter that I wanted to look at. I've looked at this service, this endpoint, I've called this, I say, these things are looking good. It's really important in a debrief to point out what's looking good as well. You want your developers to think that or to not just to think, but to feel that you are on the same side as them. Like, you're not just here to try and hold them to account. You're not a gatekeeper. We're working together to build something good. So I want to showcase all of the good that my testing has showcased. And sometimes I might come up with something and say, look, this works like this, or this error came up, this exception came up. What do we need to do about that? Is this a problem for us? And I always raise bugs in terms of entering into a conversation as part of a debrief, because again, we're on the same side and I'm taking the view of the developer is the expert in what they intended to architect and what they intended to develop. So I'm coming in to help them. So I'm not saying that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I'm coming in and saying, okay, I've noticed that the system does this. Is that a problem? Is that something we need to change? What do we think about that? Is that something we want to fix? And then there may be some other questions that come out of it where I might say, I've noticed that we have an endpoint here, like an options endpoint. Like, what's that doing? Why do we need that? And I ask questions that have come out of my testing to either to inform my understanding of what they've tried to develop and work out if there's more testing that's needed. And once I've gone through all that and I've shared what's good, tried to raise any issues or questions that I've had and got resolution to that, either in terms of people are saying they're going to fix it now, or we're going to fix it later and raise a bug. And I say, okay, yay. What I tend to do then is I say, look, what's your feedback on this? Is there anything that I've missed? Like, is anything that you think is a risk? What are we doing with this? So that's essentially what a debrief is. It's that way of sharing information. It's really good, and I will point out it's really important when you are doing your exploratory testing to make test notes. If you make test notes, it makes it so much easier for you to systematically showcase what you have tested in your exploration, what is good, where your questions are, where your issues are. I shall give you the shout out, Simon. I'll give you the shout out. Test Buddy is a tool that you could do for that. I also use Xmind. I like a mind map. Just anecdotally, I've after a stand-up, I've gone to a developer and said, "Ooh, we need to talk about the testing that I've done on this endpoint that you've implemented. Can we do a debrief?" And they're like, "Oh God, what?" Come over, and I showed them this mind map that was just so many tests, but all in green because I color code them with ticks. And I was like, as you can see, everything was awesome. Thank you very much. Just to give that bit of positivity and say, do you know what? Well done. So yeah, test notes, really important to help with that sharing.
Fantastic. +1 to test notes, people. Remember to do your test notes. It really, really does help.